A perfect house, a successful husband, but a lonely heart. See how Gwen finds real love and life again. Don't miss this emotional journey. Watch now. The house was silent again. That same kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful, but heavy, like something inside the walls is slowly dying. Elena Carter stood beside the kitchen counter, her fingers wrapped around a warm coffee mug she wasn't drinking. Outside, morning sunlight spilled across the backyard, but it barely reached her eyes. She looked tired in the way a heart gets tired, not a body. 29 years old, and she already felt like life was moving without her. Daniel's footsteps echoed down the hallway. Sharp, confident, impatient, everything about him felt loud, even when he didn't speak. He entered the kitchen wearing his usual work suit, checking his watch before looking at her. "Elena, did you send the documents to the real estate office like I asked?" His tone wasn't rude, but it wasn't caring either. It was transactional. She swallowed softly. "Not yet. I wasn't feeling well this morning." Daniel sighed, loud and disappointed. "You're always not feeling well." He grabbed his car keys from the bowl. "We're buying a new house, Elena. Try to act like it matters to you too." She didn't respond. Not because she had nothing to say, but because she had said it all before, and none of it had ever changed anything. He walked past her, kissed the top of her head without looking at her face, and left. The door shut. Silence returned, heavier than before. To the world, Daniel and Elena were the perfect couple. A handsome husband, financially successful, good reputation. Beautiful wife, quiet, kind, supportive. But marriages don't break because of storms. They break because of little droughts, tiny moments of neglect, soft hurts that never get spoken. Daniel wasn't abusive. He wasn't cruel. He just wasn't there. And Elena had mastered the art of pretending she didn't notice. But lately, something inside her had changed. A small voice she always buried had begun whispering, "Is this it? Is this what your life will always be?" She tried to silence it, but the whisper kept growing. That afternoon, Elena walked to the local art center where she volunteered once a week. Helping kids paint, draw, and create helped her breathe again. Beauty gave her a reason to feel alive. She was organizing paintbrushes when a voice suddenly spoke from behind her, gentle, warm, and slightly amused. "You know, every time I come here, it feels like someone reorganized the entire room again." She turned. A man stood near the doorway, holding a guitar case, smiling like he meant it. Aiden Brooks. 30 years old, soft stubble, messy brown hair, hazel eyes that looked like they could read emotions without asking questions. The kind of man who carried calmness like a gift. "Oh, sorry," Elena said quickly. "I was just trying to help." No, he laughed. "It looks great. I just like pretending the paintbrushes move on their own." Elena smiled. actually smiled, and the expression startled her. She didn't remember the last time her smile had come naturally. Aiden placed the guitar case on the table. I teach the music class here. I don't think we've properly met. Elena, she said softly, I help with the art sessions. Well, Elena, who makes everything look better. Nice to officially meet you. The sentence was simple. But hearing her name spoken kindly felt almost unfamiliar. During the break, Aiden sat on the bench outside the center, tuning his guitar. Elena walked by carrying a box of markers. Aiden looked up. You look like you're carrying the weight of a world in that box. She laughed lightly. Just markers, not that heavy. I meant the expression, he said gently. Elena froze for a moment. Daniel had never noticed when she was tired, never noticed when she was distant, never noticed anything. But Aiden did, from 2 seconds of looking at her face. You okay? He asked softly. She nodded too quickly. Yes, just a long week. Aiden didn't push. He simply strummed the guitar and played a soft melody, made gentle, soothing, warm. For a moment, Elena felt something inside her chest loosen, like a knot slowly opening. When Elena got back that evening, Daniel was sitting at the dining table, laptop open, phone at his ear. He lifted one finger at her, the universal sign for not now. She waited. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15. He finally finished the call. Well, did you call the real estate office? She hesitated. No, I went to the art center. Daniel rubbed his forehead. Elena, come on. I asked you for one thing, just one. Her chest tightened. It was important to me. And this house isn't. Daniel stood up, frustrated. Sometimes I feel like you don't care about our future at all. She whispered, Daniel, I care. I just don't feel. He cut her off. You're emotional again. Let's talk when you're being rational. Something broke inside her at those words. Emotional again. As if feelings were a flaw, as if her pain was an inconvenience. Daniel kissed her cheek, soft, automatic, empty. Then he went to shower. Elena stood alone in the quiet kitchen, tears sliding silently down her face. Not because Daniel yelled at her, he never yelled, but because he never listened. Later that night, while Elena sat in bed staring at the wall, her phone buzzed with a message. It was from an unknown number. Aiden. Hi, it's Aiden from the art center. I just wanted to say the kids really liked you today. Hope you reached home safe. Elena read the message twice. Not because it was romantic, but because it was thoughtful. She typed back slowly. Elena, thank you. Today it was nice. Aiden replied, You were smiling today. It suited you. Her heart fluttered just slightly. Not because she liked him, but because she liked being seen. The next 2 weeks changed everything. Daniel became busier, more distant. He left earlier, returned later. Their conversations became smaller, colder, shorter. But at the art center, Elena laughed. She talked. She breathed. Aiden never crossed boundaries. He never flirted. He never made her uncomfortable. He just gave her something Daniel had stolen without knowing. The feeling of being valued. One afternoon after class, it began raining heavily. Elena didn't bring an umbrella. Aiden saw her standing near the doorway and said gently, "Want me to walk you to your car?" "It's okay," she whispered. "I'll wait for it to stop." Aiden looked at her clothes' thin summer fabric. "You'll get soaked. Here." He took off his own hoodie and placed it around her shoulders. Warm, soft, smelling faintly of rain and cedarwood. She froze. No man had touched her with this level of kindness in years. "Elena," Aiden said softly, "you deserve to feel warm." Her eyes stung immediately. As they stood under the shelter watching the rain, Aiden spoke quietly. "You always look like you're afraid to take up space. Like you're apologizing for breathing." Elena blinked, shocked. I don't know what you mean." "I think you do." His voice softened further. "You look like someone who gives everything and receives almost nothing back." Her heart trembled. No one had ever said that to her. She whispered, "Aiden, please don't say things like that." "Why?" he asked, calm and sincere. "Because they're untrue? Or because they're true, and you're scared to admit it?" Elena's breath shook. "I'm married." "I know," Aiden said gently. "And I respect that. I'm not asking for anything." He looked into her eyes, deep, warm, painful. "I just don't like seeing you sad." That sentence, that simple sentiment, broke something open inside her. That night, Daniel came home late again. He hardly noticed Elena was awake. He smelled like work, money, stress, not home. He sat on the bed, scrolling through his emails. Elena whispered, "Can we talk?" Daniel replied without looking up, "Tomorrow, Elena, I'm exhausted." She stared at him. At the man she built her life around. At the man who didn't even notice the storm inside her. And silently, quietly, Elena cried. Not out loud, not dramatically. Just soft tears that soaked into her pillow. The kind that come when you've held everything inside for too long. Daniel never noticed. He fell asleep. But Elena stayed awake, listening to the small voice inside her that she couldn't silence anymore. You deserve more than being tolerated. And then it happened. A week later, something shifted forever. Daniel forgot their anniversary, not by accident, not by mistake. He simply didn't remember. Elena didn't say a word. She made him dinner. She listened to him talk about work. She smiled silently when he said he was going out with colleagues. But inside her heart, something finally snapped. A quiet, invisible, irreversible breaking. And she knew, without saying it out loud, that her marriage was no longer a marriage. It was a lonely room with two people pretending not to be strangers. The day everything broke and everything began. Elena didn't remember locking the door behind her. She didn't remember how her feet moved down the porch steps or how the cold morning wind wrapped around her like a warning. All she remembered was the sharp echo of Daniel's voice inside the house, the voice that had once been comfort, then habit, and now a cage. Aiden stood a few feet away from her, hands stuffed into his jacket pockets, his brown eyes clouded with worry. He didn't say anything. He didn't have to. His silence had always spoken louder than Daniel's words. "Elena," he whispered, "you don't have to decide everything today." But she shook her head. "No, today is the first day I do decide." They started walking, slowly, quietly. Aiden didn't lead. He just walked beside her, matching her steps like he always did. They reached his truck parked at the end of the driveway. Elena stood beside it, breathing hard, her fingers trembling. "This is real," she whispered. "I actually walked out." Aiden's voice dropped. "You also walked toward something." Her chest tightened. "Do you think I'm doing the right thing?" Aiden studied her, really studied her, like an artist staring at a canvas before painting something sacred. "I think." He took a soft breath. "It's the first time you're doing something for yourself." A tear slipped down her cheek. "You don't understand," Elena said, her voice breaking. "Daniel wasn't always this man. He used to love me, or at least he tried." Aiden leaned gently against the truck. "And he stopped trying. You didn't." Inside the house, Daniel's hands were shaking. He stared at the empty doorway Elena had just walked through. The silence pressed against his chest like a weight. He wanted to be angry. He wanted to break something, shout, call her back, curse Aiden, curse himself. But nothing came out. Instead, he fell into the chair, head in his hands, breath uneven. He whispered her name. "Elena." He replayed every argument, every ignored dinner, every night he had turned away from her, every morning he'd left without saying goodbye. He never thought she would actually walk away. Elena always stayed, always forgave, always tried. This time, she didn't. Daniel grabbed his phone and dialed her number with shaking fingers. It rang. Once. Twice. No answer. He sank deeper into the chair. For the first time in years, the proud, stubborn Daniel Carter felt something he had forgotten. Fear. Aiden's house was small, warm, and full of things that looked handmade. There were paintbrushes by the window, a guitar leaning on the couch, and a soft scent of cedarwood in the air. When Elena stepped inside, she froze. "You okay?" Aiden asked. "No," she whispered, "but maybe I will be." She walked to the window. The sunlight touched her hair, and Aiden felt a strange ache in his chest, an ache he had been trying to bury for months. "Elena, He hesitated. You know you can stay here tonight. She nodded softly. I know. Aiden waited, giving her space, giving her silence. Daniel gave her a house. Aiden gave her a home. Elena, his voice barely carried across the room. You don't have to be alone anymore. Her eyes filled instantly. I don't want to jump from one person to another, she said, her voice trembling. That's not what this is. I'm not choosing you over Daniel. Not like that. Aiden nodded. I know. I'm choosing me, Elena whispered. For the first time in my life. Aiden stepped closer, but didn't touch her. He waited. You're safe here, he said. And for the first time in years, she believed someone. That night, when Elena finally fell asleep on Aiden's couch, his phone vibrated. Daniel. Aiden stared at the name for a long second. He stepped into the kitchen and answered. Before he could speak, Daniel's broken voice came through. Aiden, is she with you? Aiden closed his eyes. Yes. Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. I need to see her, Daniel whispered. Please. Aiden leaned against the counter. She's not ready. Another silence. This one sharper. Aiden, I know I failed her. His voice cracked. I know she's hurting, but I'm hurting too. I can't lose her without even trying to fix it. Aiden clenched his jaw. Fixing isn't the same as owning? Daniel didn't respond to that. She's my wife, he finally said. Aiden replied softly. And she's a person. Daniel inhaled sharply, like someone stabbed him. Please, tell her I called. Aiden paused. I will. He hung up. Then he stood there in a half-dark kitchen, breathing hard. Not because he was jealous, not because Daniel's words scared him, but because Aiden Brooks loved Elena Carter in a way he couldn't say out loud. Elena opened her eyes around midnight. Soft limelight, a warm blanket, a quiet house, and Aiden sitting nearby, reading, waiting. She sat up slowly. I didn't mean to sleep this long. You needed it, he said. She looked at him, something unspoken between them. Aiden? Yes. She hesitated. What if I don't know what I'm doing? What if I'm breaking everything? Aiden exhaled slowly. Elena, sometimes breaking is the only way to rebuild. Her eyes glistened. He continued. You spent years shrinking so Daniel could feel bigger. Years whispering so he didn't feel overwhelmed. Years sacrificing so he didn't feel lonely. While he never noticed you were lonely. Elena covered her face with her hands as the tears finally spilled over. Aiden moved closer, and this time he placed a gentle hand on her back. Not claiming her, just steadying her. You deserve to be seen, he whispered. She leaned into him, and for the first time, she didn't apologize for it. The next morning, sunlight filled the small living room. Elena stood outside on the porch, holding a mug of coffee Aiden made for her. She saw Daniel's car slowly pull up. Her breath hitched. Aiden immediately came to stand behind her, not in front, not between behind her. Supporting. Not taking control. Daniel stepped out. He looked different. Not angry, not proud, but broken. Elena. He swallowed hard. Can we talk? Aiden looked at her. You don't have to, he whispered. But Elena nodded. No, I do. She walked toward Daniel. He exhaled shakily. You left without letting me fix anything. Elena looked into his tired, desperate eyes. Daniel, I gave you 10 years to fix it. He closed his eyes as if the words punched him. I can change, he pleaded. I'll go to therapy. I'll listen. I'll talk. She stepped back slightly. Daniel, I'm not leaving to punish you. I'm leaving because I finally remembered I deserve more than empty promises. Daniel's voice cracked. So this is it? You're choosing him? No, she whispered. I'm choosing myself. Behind her, Aiden watched her stand strong, maybe for the first time ever. Daniel wiped his face. Do you still love me? He asked. Elena took a slow breath. I don't know, she said honestly. But I know I don't love the version of me who stayed silent. Daniel looked away, defeated. After a long, trembling pause, he whispered, I won't force you back, but I love you enough to let you go, if that's what you need. Her heart twisted painfully. Thank you, she whispered. And Daniel walked back to his car with a heaviness she could feel from yards away. He didn't shout. He didn't beg. He didn't break things. He just broke. When Daniel's car disappeared, Aiden approached her carefully. You okay? He asked. Elena stared at the road where her marriage had just ended. I'm not okay, she said, voice trembling. But I'm free. Aiden nodded with a soft, emotional smile. She turned toward him. Aiden, why did you stay up the whole night? He hesitated. Elena, I need to tell you something. She lifted her eyes to his. I didn't fall in love with you because you were hurting, Aiden said. I fell in love with you because you were strong enough to keep going even when you were breaking. I'm not asking for anything, he continued. I don't want to push you. I don't want you to feel like you left him for me. I just want you to know I'm here. A tear rolled down Elena's cheek. Why do you care so much? She whispered. Aiden stepped closer, his voice soft but steady. Because someone should. She couldn't speak. Her heart felt heavy and light at the same time. Then, without thinking, she stepped into his arms. Not because he saved her. Not because he loved her. But because for the first time in her life, she felt safe enough to fall into someone without losing herself. As the sun rose higher, Elena stood on Aiden's porch, tired, emotional, but unbroken. Her old life had just collapsed. Her marriage had ended. Her silence had finally cracked open. but something new lived under her skin, a small, fragile seed of hope. Aiden touched her hand gently. "What now?" he asked. Elena took a deep breath, looking ahead at the quiet road, the open sky, the world she never allowed herself to claim. "Now," she whispered, "I start over." Aiden smiled softly. "Then you won't start alone." Elena looked into his eyes, warm, patient, full of a love that didn't want to own her, only hold her. For the first time in her 29 years, she chose herself. She chose peace. She chose a future that didn't hurt. And maybe, just maybe, she chose love too. Gwen finally chose herself, leaving a perfect life behind to find real love, happiness, and freedom. She's no longer invisible, she's alive, seen, and heard. If you felt her journey, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more stories that touch the heart.